Hello and welcome. You're now listening to the 2028 podcast, your one-stop hub for getting quality content on becoming the next millionaire investor. Hi, I'm Vince.
And I'm Tezen, and we'll be leading you through our digestible SWOT analysis on complex business operations, and we'll judge whether they'll sink or swim.
Between the two of us, we have 10 years of solid business analytical experience, and we want to impart with you the tools necessary to not just survive, but thrive as an investor.
Hey Vince, did you know that Bitcoin actually just hit 40K?
Well, hold on, 40K, like just recently?
Yeah, it was about a week ago actually.
My God.
That is crazy.
The fact that Bitcoin was what, $8,000 not even a year ago, a year or two ago, and now it's $40,000 per Bitcoin?
Dude, that's crazy. But you know what's even crazier? So there's another cryptocurrency from Ethereum called Ether.
Okay.
As of December 25th, 2020, it was trending around $620 And January 2nd of 2021, it hit a whopping 1,200.
1,200 in
doubled.
what? A span of a week.
Yeah.
In 1 week, 100% return.
Yes.
Whew, talk about that volatility right there.
I mean, it just goes up and down.
Well, I mean, it is a cryptocurrency, and from what I understand, cryptocurrencies have a whole lot of volatility, and it's kind of like the name of the game.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, if you think about it, like a couple days ago, Ether was actually at 1,300, and within 12 hours, it went down to $990.
Yeah, not gonna lie, if that were me, I'd definitely have a heart attack in the entire 12 hours.
Oh
It's
hell
like,
yeah!
Like what? If I bought 10 of them, that's like what? A 30% drop in my portfolio? No, more than that. More than a 30% drop.
Yeah, it'll be crazy, you know. Like, I mean, yeah, you see it go up to 1,200. You're like, oh, this is a good buy. It's gonna go
Gotta go
up
bullish
even
on
more.
it, keep on going.
Yep.
Yeah.
You buy it at 1,200. A couple days later, you see it go up to 1,300,
For sure.
and then you're like, in your head, you're just like, okay, this is making money. We're good. We're doing
Yeah.
good.
Uh-huh.
And then you go to sleep. You wake up and you look at it and you see $990.
And like at that point, I would just be like cursing Ethereum.
You just be having a heart attack at that point.
And you know what? That actually brings us into today's episode. And today, we're going to talk about Ethereum and their cryptocurrency called Ether. What is it? What does it mean? And what's all the hype about it?
So, what exactly is Ethereum? Well, Ethereum's a decentralized open source blockchain that features smart contract functionality. And Ethereum actually has their own native cryptocurrency called the Ether.
So, Ethereum. Okay, so there's Ethereum, which is the entire program or the entire functionality. And then they have a thing or a cryptocurrency called Ether. Now, Ether powers those contracts that you mentioned. But another thing that we should really talk about is with Ethereum, they are powered by this thing called blockchain technology.
Well, what exactly is that?
Yeah, recently there's a whole lot of hype around blockchain technology, but the technology itself has been around for decades. And only recently, people have started to utilize this new technology. And they realize they can make a whole lot of money. And it's a disruptor to a lot of industries. So let's break it down. Well, to how so, we'll talk about that in a bit. But to what exactly is blockchain technology? It's broken down into three parts. It's cryptographically secure. It's a transactional singleton machine. And it's at a shared state.
So what do you mean when you say cryptographically secure?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Cryptographically secured means that it is secured on a whole different level. So like if you plug into a USB drive and you're wondering if it's secure, well, your USB drive is not the most secure thing. Like it doesn't have a password. But with blockchain technology, each block of the chain is very secure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how about the transactional?
Yeah, so transactional singleton machine. That means that there's a single truth that everybody believes in. So you know how everyone says that, oh, everybody knows what everyone else has? That is true because the blockchain has a script of everything that goes on. If you want to understand like, oh, X person made a transaction to Y person, that's a fundamental truth and everybody knows that.
So is that public?
Yeah, it's public. I mean, so long as you have access to the blockchain, yes, it's public, and pretty much anyone can get access into the blockchain.
Oh, okay. So how about the shared state?
Yeah, so the shared state, that means that the machine is open source and is shared amongst everybody.
Okay, so everyone has access to it.
Exactly, everybody has access to that. Yeah, I mean, that was a whole lot of stuff to blockchain technology, but trust us, this technology is revolutionary. It's going to change the world.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other things about Ethereum that's really nice is Ethereum itself is actually a ledger tech.
A ledger tech.
Yeah, it's a ledger tech. So a lot of companies actually use it to build new programs.
Now, from what I gathered, Bitcoin doesn't have that, right? It's just Ethereum.
No, it's just Ethereum. That's why Ethereum is very unique. So if we were to look at when Ethereum was created, it was actually created in 2015 by a 21-year-old.
A 21-year-old.
Yeah, a 21-year-old. Now, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but his name was Vitalik Buterin. And his whole main purpose of creating it was to actually decentralize the internet with Ethereum coins.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, everything's run in a central system. Like, say, for example, you had a bank. A bank is run by a central system. Same with the money, run by the U.S. Treasury.
Mm-hmm. Like, everything has a system that it's run by. But, like if you were to think about cryptocurrencies, not really. It's just out there.
It's out there. Everybody knows what it is, and it's hard to, change it up if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm. When they actually launched Ethereum, they got crowdsourced, and they were able to collect $18 million to launch Ethereum.
Wow.
Yeah, $18 million.
$18 million in 2015. I know crowdsourcing wasn't as big as it is today, so the fact that they raised $18 million says a whole lot of support for this community.
Yeah, I mean, the other fact is the fact that, there was Bitcoin already there. So when Ethereum introduced, Ether and their whole state, it was easy for people to just dive in.
They're more familiar with the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Before we really get into it, we should really talk about what Ethereum is. Now, I know we talked about it in the top of the episode, but we should really talk more about the fundamentals because it's important. And when we go into our SWOT analysis, it's very important to understand the fundamentals so that way we could really dive into the SWOT.
Okay. So what exactly is Ethereum?
Yeah, so Ethereum is a transaction-based state machine. It's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo, but to break it down, Ethereum started off at Genesis. Okay. Now, Genesis, just like the Bible, in the beginning there was light. For Ethereum, in the beginning there was Genesis. And after Genesis occurred, there were a whole bunch of transactions. Like, I gave you a coin, you gave me a coin, there's a transaction, I bought your app, you bought my app, all that good stuff.
Now, in that sense, did Ethereum come before Ethers?
Yes, Ethereum did come before Ethers. Because Ethereum is, yes, exactly. Now, all these transactions, as we stated beforehand, there is this blockchain technology that's incorporated into Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
With all these transactions that are going on, you have these groups of people called miners.
Gotcha. So these miners basically try to solve equations or try to verify these transactions that's happening inside the blockchain. And I'm guessing as a reward for doing so, they would get one ether or a currency,
exactly,
right?
A coin, exactly. Now, they do get a coin for this, and the reason why they get a coin is because you need an incentivization for miners to go in and grab that coin.
Now I do know that mining is not cheap at all. It's actually very, very expensive. Yeah, and I do know that it's mostly relying on a computer's GPU, which is their graphics card, and not one is not enough. You actually need multiple. And it can get pretty costly because if you think about it, a graphics card, right? If you are trying to get your hands on a good graphics card, once they are released, scouters will go out and buy as much as they can.
So it's a rare commodity.
Yeah, it becomes a very rare commodities. And, if you were to try to get a couple good graphics card, each one can cost, for mining cards, each ones can cost up to $1,500 just for one.
Hold on. So I heard that you mentioned each one.
Yes.
How many mining cards do you need?
So a normal rig would have anywhere between 8 to 10 graphics cards.
Whew.
And not just regular graphics cards, they're really powerful graphics cards.
I know for computers, if you want to game and all, you just need one graphics card. But if you want to mine, you need to have 8 to 10? That's insane.
And even with that, it'll still take you a while to mine. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is let's say you were to have a system with 10 graphics cards, right?
Sure. Okay.
Just the electricity cost itself for 1 month can be a whopping 1,200 to 1,500.
1,200. Dude, that's more than like what I pay for my electric bill to power up my entire house.
Yeah.
How is it far more expensive than that?
Yeah, and that's not even it. You need to take into consideration the 10 or 8 graphics cards that you buy. That's a good $8,000 to $15,000 right there. So it's not cheap. It's very expensive.
Now, some people might be asking, if you're more technical savvy, why graphics card and why not just get a very powerful processor? Why can't a processor do all this?
So the graphics card actually uses these hashes, right? Now, hashes are basically the amount of codes that a graphics card can process, right? So a regular GPU, like, yes, you can mine with a CPU, but it'll literally take you years.
Now, the reason why it takes you years is because the way a processor works is they do things in series. They do things one at a time. Yeah, you might have like 16 cores, but they do it like all at one time.
Yeah.
But with the GPU, like you said, Tezen, GPUs run in parallel, which means with all those transactions, thousands upon thousands of transactions could be computed in a matter of milliseconds.
Yeah.
Versus a CPU, one at a time.
Yeah, and the fact that, in a blockchain, there's not just hundreds or a couple thousands of transactions. There's tens and tens of thousands,
Millions even.
Millions. So, if you were trying to mine it, just one good graphics card would not do any justice.
No. So there's a very high barrier to entry if you want to become a miner.
Yes.
Or if you want to create. Now, there's another way of getting a coin. You could just go out and buy it, but for them, they might not think it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, personally, I would say it's better to just buy the cryptocurrency than mining it. Because at the end of the day, mining would cost you an arm and a leg. It would...
Yeah.
Right now, it would cost you more to mine than to actually go out and just buy one coin.
Probably. Yeah. No, not even probably. Definitely. Like you said, mining is it's an entire process on its own. But with the entire process of blockchain technology is that each block gets built on to the next block. So each miner, they create one node or they create one block and it keeps building on. Now, there might be some issues that might come up with this. Say, for example, if one block is created, another block might be created at another end. And just to visualize it, imagine like a fork. You have the base, the skinny part of your fork, and at the end of the fork, you have all these different prongs. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, there are 4 prongs. Which prong does the chain keep on going? Does it go on to the far right, far left, or the center one? Well, Ethereum has this protocol called Ghost Protocol. Now, Ghost Protocol it stands for a greedily heavily observed subtree. Now, the state that is picked is the one that has the most computations done upon. So effectively, it just selects the chain that has the most blocks on it, and it follows that chain.
So the more transactions that's happening.
Exactly, yeah. Those transactions that are happening, each block that's built upon the next block, it just builds off on each other.
So what about the other blocks?
That's a good question. Now, those other blocks that are on the sides, those are called forks. Those are like a fork on the road. Now, those forks on the road get disregarded. But we'll talk more about it later, because there are instances where these forks have led to different derivatives of different cryptocurrencies.
Oh, interesting. Now, one thing that sets Ethereum apart is the fact that they actually have their own language. So it actually
like
allows... Coding. Yeah, it's kind of like coding, and it actually allows people to create their own decentralized apps. And as Ethereum likes to call it, dApps.
So it's more than just a currency. It's more like an entire ecosystem.
And actually, dApps are actually powered by Ether.
Oh,
the coin.
Gotcha. Are there any examples? Like, what kind of apps are out there right now?
You can actually find dApps anywhere. They're from cryptocurrency wallets, financial apps, games, and there's some other apps that have it too. And they run in the background to make it more secure and basically to have a good preservation of it.
Yes. I know, dApps are a major disruptor to a whole bunch of industries right now. But we'll talk more about that later in the SWOT analysis.
Let's actually go ahead and talk about their strengths.
Well, the first strength that we really have for you guys is that Ethereum, effectively, it's the voice of the people. Now, what does that mean? It means that the community itself actually voices if they want any changes in policy or if there are any major changes or overhauls.
So it's the community that decides on what actually happens.
Exactly. So, like, say, for example, big companies like Sears or big companies like, I don't know, Amazon, typically have Jeff Bezos making the final call. But
But in this case, it's the community as a whole.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. I mean, another strength is the fact that they're actually ran on Bitcoin technology.
Okay.
Now, the fact that Bitcoin technology is decentralized means that it's not regulated by any central system or any market. So that's really good.
Like, there's no chance for fraud, nothing like that. There's no one who could really corrupt the system.
No. And one of the best things is that blockchains is actually a peer-to-peer network.
Oh, so what does that mean?
So basically what that means is that it's between the sender and receiver.
Okay.
So there's no third party.
So no middleman.
For example, no middleman. Okay. So for example, let's say you're trying to transfer, you're trying to exchange currency or something, right?
Sure.
How would you do that? You would need a middleman, like an exchange or a bank.
Yeah, so I'd go to a bank. I would just like talk to the bank teller to say like, yo, I want to get some British pounds. Can you do that for me?
Yeah. But what blockchain technology does is that it completely takes away the middleman.
So there's no transactional fee.
There isn't any transactional fee. It's just a transaction between the sender and receiver. It's as if, like you owe me $5.
Yeah.
And I tell you, hey, give me $5. You hand me $5. Transaction done.
No middleman.
Quick and simple.
I don't know why everything isn't that easy anymore.
I mean, once you have the middleman, then there's fees that goes along with that. So it'll cost more, and it's a way for them to make more money.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But Ethereum doesn't, like Ether, the cryptocurrency, it does not have anything like that. So there's no transactional fees or anything. It's just straightforward.
Nice. I like that.
So why exactly is this good? Well, one of the things that it means is that it's actually tax-free. And the government can actually not control it or regulate Ethereum.
It's kind of sketchy because, like, say, for example, if I want to do some shady stuff, it's okay for me to do that and not be tracked by the government?
Yeah. You can't be tracked. They can't regulate anything, or, they can't come after you because everything's secured and everything goes by a certain code. Your cryptocurrency wallet has like a certain code. It's not your name that's on it.
Gotcha. I guess that's a good thing.
Which can be a strength, and it can also be a bad thing, but we'll get more into that in a bit.
Okay.
Now, another really good thing is that it's pseudo-anonymous.
What do you mean by that?
So, theoretically, it's anonymous and untraceable, like I said earlier. So, everything's stored on virtual wallets.
Sure.
Right? So, your cryptocurrencies that you have, they're not physical, so you can't physically touch them. So what you have is you have a crypto wallet, which is an electronic wallet that has a password that's specific to you.
So you did mention pseudo-anonymity. What's pseudo about that?
The pseudo part is the fact that, so it is theoretically anonymous and untraceable, but let's say you were to, transfer the money on your crypto wallet to your account, right? If you were to transfer that, essentially what it's doing is that you're giving your personal information to the wallet in order for you to send that money.
I gotcha.
And at that point, your whole information will be out there.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Interesting. I really do like that part about the anonymity that comes with Ethereum. But another thing that I really do like about Ethereum, and I do think that is a solid strength, is that Ethereum is one of the few cryptocurrencies that actually is programmable.
Oh, so you mean like dApps, right?
Exactly, like dApps. So Ethereum, like any sort of coding language, has their own language. So programmers can go into the app or into the software and program their own app, aka dApps. Now, dApps, they are pretty much
like
everywhere.
I said earlier, it was in the wallets, the financial apps, games.
Exactly.
More, right?
Exactly. They're like pretty much everywhere. But the thing with dApps is that once they're up in the system, they're there forever. Like they
So
cannot
it's
be taken
permanent.
down. It's permanent because remember, it's all decentralized. There isn't one exact server.
So let me get this straight. So let's say I was a creator and I created a app, right?
yes.
So I put it in Ethereum.
Okay.
So let's say like a week or two or even a month later, I found like that I wanted to change something in it. So technically, I can't go back and change it.
Not really, because you created it and you published it, but you no longer really own it.
So because it's open source.
It's open source, exactly.
So
now
in order for me to change anything, I
you can create
basically
a derivative.
mod it.
Exactly, you can mod it. You can create a derivative. You can mod it. You could change it up, but that version,
But that
is gonna be
original
up there.
file is always
Exactly.
going to be up there.
It's always going to be
Got
there.
it.
Now,
Got it.
one of the things that a lot of people really like about dApps is this new feature called smart contracts.
Smart contracts. I think I heard about that. What exactly is it?
Yeah, so before this episode, I was a little confused about smart contracts as well, but I found a great analogy with smart contracts. Now, visualize a vending machine. Now,
Okay.
you put in a coin and you get something out of it. Now, imagine that coin is an ether. You put in an ether into the system and outputs this contract. Now, the contract is a series of functions that is already predetermined and you know what to expect.
So it's like a safety.
Exactly. It's a safety. It's very hard to break this contract. What you put in is what you get out. So a real life example is, say, for example, real estate transactions. You want to give money to a person and in exchange, they give you the property to their house. Now, typically with the real estate transaction, you deal with an escrow company. Now, the escrow company, you put in money into that account and they hold on to the money so that way there's some security between the two parties. But with these smart contracts, you don't need an escrow company. You could just give those inputs into the system and they could do that transaction for you with great security.
So what you're saying is it's basically a set number of rules for each transaction, and it'll make sure though that those rules are met before the actual transfer is made.
Exactly. And what makes this so revolutionary is that there's Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is like one of the first blockchain cryptocurrencies. But with Ethereum, yes, they are a cryptocurrency, but they also have a whole bunch of apps that financial institutions, companies are taking full advantage.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so say for like we said with the escrow situation, financial institutions, you could trade, you can make bets.
Okay, yeah.
There's gambling over there too. I mean, not that we advocate for gambling, but you can do that in a very secure manner. And there's also games and all that good stuff over there. It's changing the way that the world will operate in the future. The future is in blockchain technology.
So let me ask you, so is there like any entity or person that controls anything?
No, nobody controls it. That's another beauty of it. Nobody controls it. It's controlled by the people, and the people are the ones responsible for it. And we'll talk about more about the significance of this later on. But just so you know, the people have a huge amount of control with this.
Okay. So it's the community.
It's the community. But with all that being said, with all these strengths and these amazing features with Ethereum and the cryptocurrency sphere, there are a good number of weaknesses as well.
Like the fact that smart contracts, right?
Okay.
They are good in a sense, but one thing that you need to make sure is that the coding is actually done right.
Oh, and like in what way?
And the reason why I say that is because actually in 2016, there was actually a hacker that stole $50 million.
$50 million.
Yeah, $50 million. And that was all due to bad coding.
My God. Well, can you elaborate on what does this mean, bad coding?
Well, so this attack was actually a DAO attack.
Okay.
Right? So what exactly is DAO? So it's a digital decentralized autonomous organization. And what they primarily do is they manage models for cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
They basically manage policies and decision-making structures and create them into codes. So that'll eliminate the need of central authority.
That's a good thing. That sounds like an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. Now, what happened in 2016? Well, so let's rewind a little bit. So the DAO was actually launched in April of 2016 by a German startup called Stockit. And it was actually 2 months right after they launched it that this attack happened.
Sounds like a pretty bad startup, if you ask me.
That's yeah. I mean, that sucks. You know, I mean, 2 months. Literally,
Yeah, 2
you're
months
just
into
a
it,
start.
and then you, bam, you attack.
Yeah. So, what the hacker essentially did was, he went in and he started getting ethers from the DAO, and he started moving it into a child DAO, which he created.
Well, hold on. What's a
Yeah.
child DAO?
A child DAO is basically another, like it's a parallel DAO. So just like you mentioned about like forks,
Okay.
he created another DAO with the same, functions, and he started moving the ethers from the original DAO that everyone was trading in into the new one.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And he took in close to 3.6 million ethers,
Jeez.
which equivalates to about $50 million back then.
Whew. So this guy
That's
just
a
took
lot.
advantage of this startup company and took $50 million worth of ethers?
Yeah. And
God
you know
damn.
what the funniest thing is? Hold
what?
on, this is the funniest thing.
Okay.
So right after the attacker did this, he went online and he basically proclaimed that his actions were actually by the law and there's no criminal
My
proceeds
God.
against him.
So what? The guy
All
just
he
stole
was doing-
everything and proclaimed
Yeah,
it to the
so-
world like, yeah, I did it. I took full responsibility for this.
Yeah, and his excuse was that he was just taking advantage of the loophole because of the bad coding that happened.
Wow. Wow.
So in order to fix this, they actually created a different strain, aka a different fork. Now, Vince, do you know which ones they are?
Tezen, it's a funny thing that you mentioned it because Ethereum actually, in its entire history, has encountered 3 major forks. The first fork that you're talking about with the DAO attack, that's called Ethereum Classic.
And it's still trading to this day.
It is still trading.
Yeah.
Now, you might be asking yourself, why would they keep this situation where a dude steals $50 million of ethers and just let him get away with it? Well, the community was split. The community was in one field, they were enraged as some dude hacked $50 million worth of ethers. And there's another group of people where they're like, oh, it is what it is. I want decentralization. I don't want there to be any sort of overhaul or major control. So what they did was they created Ether Classic. Ether Classic is that subset of people who decided to let it be, just let it happen. And then there's the other group. That other group, we'll talk more about that. That's called Metropolis, or it's a code name for what Ether is traded today.
Gotcha. So, I mean, the hacker, so I know that in Ethereum Classic,
Yes.
they're trading at around $7. The hacker who stole the 3.6 million coins, he still made quite a bit of money, like 21 million.
Yeah, that's freaking wild. Yeah, what he sold, the $50 million, yeah, it's devalued to what? You said $21 million?
Yeah.
But still, $21 million, and just for it all to be technically legal, that's freaking wild.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But, I mean, good thing they were able to fix it.
Yeah. I mean, for the people who just thought that it was wrong, good for them. They have a new fork.
I mean, that's one of the biggest weaknesses that I saw, but they were able to fix it, so that's a good thing.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned it, Tezen, because another great thing that Ethereum faces is their scalability. Now, as we said in the top of the episode, they began in 2015. And in 2015, as you may know, it's a startup company. Yeah, they got $18 million, which is great, but $18 million is not enough to scale an organization. Now, for a new company is central, which means a lot of investors pull in their money into one central location, which means their infrastructure gets developed, it gets risen really quick. It's just amazing. With Ethereum, there's no centrality. There is no one central place where you can really put in all your money. So what they rely on just slow growth and eventual funding to come in. Now, it's really bad because without that money, they're not really able to develop their infrastructure. Now, their founder, he went on this talk, and he was talking about one of their biggest threats, or their biggest weaknesses was scalability. Now, scalability is because they're limited to the number of transactions. In 2017, they were limited to 3 transactions per second. Now, you might be thinking, 3 transactions a second, that's quite a bit. Well, if you compare it to Amazon Amazon's able to compute over thousands and thousands of transactions per second. That's a lot compared to what, 3 transactions per second. If Ethereum encountered 4 transactions, their system would be overloaded and they would crash.
Yeah, man. So those two were, I think, the biggest weaknesses that they have. But not just weaknesses, they do have quite a bit opportunities that come into play.
I mean, man, you're right. They do have a whole lot of opportunities, but I think their biggest one is that, in all honesty, they're moving away from currency. In the entire world, everyone really compares their currency to the US dollar. Now, for us Americans, that's pretty great, but say, for example, there's another country that relies on the US dollar. Well, they can't really rely on a greater supply of US dollars because the US Treasury is the only entity responsible for printing out the dollar. However, with cryptocurrencies, those currencies aren't regulated by any sort of major entity. It's regulated by the community as a whole.
It's universal.
It's universal, yes, it is.
I mean, like you're saying, so it becomes like a whole
other economy.
It's like a whole nother economy, and it's a whole nother currency in reality because like everyone's using the same amount.
Exactly. And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because more or less cryptocurrencies, in theory, they have opposite direction as to what the U.S. stock market goes about. So if the market goes up one day, well then Bitcoin goes down the other. It goes down the other day. And the reason why is because people want to invest more of their money on Bitcoins when they think that their internal markets are more unreliable. It's like stick to the man sort of mentality. Like, oh, I want to get out of the grid. I want to get out of this entire system. I want to be free from it all. And it also gives credence to their other opportunity, which is anonymity. Tezen, I don't know about you, but I like my anonymity. Because you've heard of that saying whenever you get, you win $1 million.
Lottery?
Yeah, exactly. You know that saying whenever you win the lottery, you're not really supposed to disclose that you won the lottery. You're supposed to really remain anonymous. Now, that anonymity really preserves the fact that you are now a rich man, which protects you in, say, for example, if you have a whole lot of threats or people who want to like exploit you, you can use that anonymity to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are pretty good opportunities that they have. And another fact is that, you know, a lot of companies are now starting to accept cryptocurrencies as payments. You know,
it makes it more mainstream.
It makes it more mainstream because I do know that Amazon, they accept cryptocurrencies.
They do.
As well as, they do. And I believe right now it's only Bitcoins, but I'm pretty sure as time goes on, they're going to start allowing more cryptocurrencies to be part of it.
I agree.
I do know that in other places of the world, you know, if you're going to a store or like a gas stations, they actually allow cryptocurrency payments.
Wow.
Which is really good.
Times are changing.
Because it's becoming mainstream, you know.
This is the future right here.
Yeah. Basically, the future is here. And so that's really good. That's like a great opportunity that they have.
Yeah.
I would say another good opportunity is the fact that this is all open source.
Yes.
Which means that, you know, if you create anything, it's going to stick around forever. Like, it's not going to die out.
Yeah, like as a creator,
It'll only die
you don't have to
off
worry about like censorship or like any sort of big corporation trying to take it down. Like, as an example, Parler. Parler relied on Amazon as their server. Now, Amazon being the server provider, they decided to shut them down and end Parler. Which
and what happened?
They're gone.
Ended.
They're gone. Yeah. But with
this, like,
you're good.
Yeah, like the entire thing needs to shut down in order for anything to be gone.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, as a creator, they do have a whole lot of opportunities, or like even as an investor. It sounds like they have a whole lot of opportunities. It sounds like it's really skyrocketing. It sounds like the sky's the limit with Ethereum. But Tezen, wouldn't you agree that there are a whole lot of threats as well?
Oh yeah, there's some pretty big threats, and Bitcoin's actually one of them. Now, if you think about it, Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency that took off.
Yeah, if you ask about like
when you
talk to me about cryptocurrency, I think about Bitcoin. I don't think about either.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to your mind is Bitcoin. Because that's what everyone's talking about. That's what the biggest hype is about, and the value of it is, as of right now, it's $34,000 for one Bitcoin.
Wow. And like what? Ether is only going for only a couple $1,000, like less $1,000.
$1,250.
Wow. Yeah, there's a big.
But you know, it's still getting there. And if you think about it, I mean, Bitcoin did start back in 2009, and Ether was created in 2015.
2015. I mean, for Ether saving grace, it is the second largest cryptocurrency out there. But
so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's nothing, but it's still a threat. still a major threat.
Yeah, it's a threat because, like, I mean, if you think about any other place that accept cryptocurrencies, it's mostly Bitcoins.
Exactly. I don't think I really found. I don't think I found a place that accepted Ether.
Yeah, I haven't found a place that accept Ether, but I do know there's some like online game bases or some other. There's one or two stores that would allow you to purchase with Ether. But other than that, not really. But hopefully later down the road, more and more companies and more services will start allowing Ether crypto.
Gotcha. But I do know that a big threat to Ether or Ethereum is DOS attacks.
You mean the denial of service attacks, right?
Exactly. So we did talk a little bit about it before, but a DOS attack is when a person gives to break it down, a person or a server gives another server way too many pings or way too many bits of information. And a few bits of information at a time is fine. But if you overload the system, it's bad.
Yeah. It can create the machine or the server or even the network to shut down.
Exactly, and that's not good. And as we said before, as a weakness is that Ethereum's infrastructure, at least a year or two ago, it wasn't as developed as it is today. But even still, today, it's not nowhere near as where they want it to be in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the making, It's still in the
It's not perfect,
early
but
stages.
It's still a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, once it becomes mainstream and once people start accepting payments, I feel like then the security is going to increase and everything's going to be more advanced by then.
Exactly.
And I think another threat that they face is actually the dApps, because they're actually bottlenecked.
What do you mean by that?
So they're not really centrally updatable.
Okay.
So if you create an app, you can't really update it at an instant. It'll take a while and it's pretty difficult because you have to create mods or like another version of that. You can't really go back into the app that you've created or an app that exists to improve it. You would have to essentially create a new app.
So if I were an app creator on the Google Play Store, for me it'd be easy because I could just go there, update the version, and then everyone could get the updated version of the app. So you're saying it's not true with an app or a dApp in Ethereum?
Yeah, because if you think about it, so let's say you created an app in Ethereum, right?
Sure.
A dApp.
Okay.
If you create that app and let's say you want to update something, what you would do is you would create another app with the app that you've already created.
Okay.
And once you put that up, people can't just update it. They would have to go and download that specific second app.
I gotcha. But I don't think that's the biggest threat that Ethereum faces. I mean,
it's not the biggest, but it's one of them.
It is one of them. I do think one of the biggest threats that they face is themselves. So what exactly do I mean by that?
You're talking about the side chains, right?
Exactly. I'm talking about their side chains. Now, Tezen, you did briefly mention earlier on in the episode about Ethereum Classic. Now, that was with that attack where Ethereum, there were $50 million worth of Ether that were stolen or effectively hacked by a bunch of people.
3.6 million coins. That was
exactly. Stolen. Yeah, 3.6 million. And at that time, as we said before, there were two subsets of communities or two schools of thought. Keep, accept it and move on, or change this wrong and create a new path or create a new fork. Now, the people or group of people that decided to have it just be as it is, accept it as it is, that became Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that sucks about Ethereum Classic is the price has not really changed.
No?
It's still hovering around $7.
Okay.
So it hasn't really changed or moved.
Gotcha. Okay. And I get, like we said, Ethereum right now, as it is today, they are at around $1,200. Currently trading at $1,200. Now, another fork that occurred is Ether Zero. Now, Ether Zero it doesn't have as much publicity as Ethereum Classic, but Ether Zero, it's just designed to improve the transaction rate of speed.
Okay.
So it just means
is that still, so can people still buy that?
Yeah, I mean, from what I recollect, people can still buy that. It's just like,
okay.
So remember how we said to create a coin, you need to mark down all those transactions? With Ether Zero, they have improved those transaction rate speeds, meaning that a miner can mine those coins at a much faster rate than a regular Ether coin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that's because it's starting as a new coin.
Exactly. Well, not necessarily as a new coin, but as a new system, as a new way to operate.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. So I'm guessing that's at a very low price point right now.
I assume so. Now, the third and most current fork of Ethereum is actually called Metropolis. Now, Metropolis is more like a project name for Ethereum because they do have visions of where it's going to go.
Okay. So is Metropolis Ether right now?
Yeah. So if you buy Ether right now on any sort of like on Coinbase, that's what you're getting. You're getting Metropolis.
Oh, okay.
Now, Metropolis is divided into two major phases. The first phase is Byzantium, and the second phase is Constantinople.
Okay.
Now, currently we're on Byzantium, where Byzantium is a transition from a less secure to a more secure and more optimized version of the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Yes, so that's phase 1 of Metropolis. Now, phase 2 of Metropolis is the transition from a POW to a POS.
Okay.
Yeah. So POW is what's currently happening right now, which is proof of work. And proof of work, which we talked about at the beginning of the episode, is where a miner goes in and proves that those transactions actually occurred.
Are true.
Exactly, that they're true, that they actually take place. Now, the next part, or the phase that they really want to get into, is POS, or proof of stake. Now,
so what exactly is POS?
Yeah, so POS is twofold. POS depends upon the community to actually validate the transactions. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means that a person can mine or validate a block of transactions based upon how many coins that they have at a given time. And that's pretty much what the goal of Constantinople is. Now, after Constantinople, they want to go to the final, their quote-unquote final version of Ethereum, or of Ether, which is Serenity. Serenity, yes. Now, Serenity.
So what's that phase?
Yeah, that phase is just the completion of Metropolis with Byzantium and Constantinople. And
when do they plan on having that ready by?
Yeah, so that's going to be completed by the end of 2021. So it's still a work in progress. So it's not here yet, but it should be coming soon.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No. But that is their biggest threat, where, like, yeah, it's great for the main chain, but for any other side chains that want to, like, derail from Ethereum, it could be kind of dangerous because that might be, who knows, maybe that chain could be more popular than the main chain itself.
So the Ghost protocol might come into play.
No. People might. No. So the Ghost protocol is only for the main chain. But the side chains, they themselves could actually be split apart and become their own thing, just like with Ethereum Classic.
Well, guys, that completes our SWOT analysis of Ethereum.
Tezen, I gotta ask you, man, what do you really think about Ether?
You know what? I think it has potential.
Think it has potential?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's the second largest cryptocurrency.
Exactly, second largest. And if I say cryptocurrency to our average Joe on the street, they would think of Bitcoin.
I mean, they're first going to think of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's been there for longer.
It's more versatile, to be honest.
More used. Yeah.
Yeah, it has
and
more
a lot
hype.
of companies already, allow payments of it.
Exactly.
But I'm pretty sure as time goes on and once they get to their Serenity stage, a lot of people will know about it even more and the price would be even higher, which could, be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good thing, but my biggest concern is just like their publicity. But I'm not going to be negative about them because I agree with you. I think that they're going to be a phenomenal thing, not just because of Ether, but I think because of their entire ecosystem. Like we said before.
It's unique.
It is unique.
It's not like any other, cryptocurrency base.
No, they're literally, from what I recognize, they're one of the first and only cryptocurrencies that have programmable apps incorporated into the entire system. And
which is more secure, more safe.
Exactly, and more financial institutions are incorporating them into their actual procedures.
And by the looks of like the rate that the price is increasing and decreasing, it's not really that bad.
No.
It's semi-steady.
But even beyond the price of it all, because I do think that beyond that, I think they're a hardcore swim, not just because they're a cryptocurrency, but because of dApps, because of everything that they have going on for them. They're just I feel like they're going to revolutionize a lot of things. I do know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have a feeling like other cryptocurrencies will try to like
emulate this.
Emulate like dApps. Because it's very unique. Yeah. But at the same time, it's very good because it's very, secure and optimized.
I agree. Like, as an example, I remember I graduated from grad school, I think 2 years ago. But even then, I remember we did a class presentation. Not me, but there was another group. And they created an idea or like an application which incorporates Ethereum and blockchain technology, where they pretty much have a system where everyone would be willing to give their Wi-Fi username and password. And in exchange for this blockchain technology, everyone who's in that blockchain will be able to access everyone else's Wi-Fi. So there's no reason to connect to data. You could just walk around and you could automatically be connected to Wi-Fi. Practicality of it all, I don't know. But it's an idea that they threw around. And the fact that you could do that and incorporate this technology with real-life applications is phenomenal. That a lot of entrepreneurs get started off.
But the question is that safe?
That's honestly a good question, because personally, I wouldn't do that because I don't know who would access my Wi-Fi. I don't know what shady stuff they could do.
Activities they might do.
Yeah, but it's interesting to know that the concept and the technology is out there that where we are capable of doing that.
What do you think? Do you think Ethereum's gonna sink or swim?
Oh, I definitely believe that it's gonna swim. Because not just for the coins. I don't think just as a cryptocurrency, I don't think it's going to swim because of cryptocurrency. I think it's going to swim because of the entire ecosystem, because of the ability to create apps.
It's very unique.
Yeah, I think whenever I imagine anything that will create waves in an entire industry, I believe that will do well. Now, historically, you have the printing press that got rid of monks. Well, not rid of monks. That's a horrible example. But like monks back in 1500s, they were primarily responsible for writing books, for writing textbooks. Now comes along the printing press, and the printing press pretty much makes them obsolete because a printing press could print so much so quickly, disrupts an entire industry. You have the internet.
Revolutionizes everything.
Exactly. You have the internet. Things like libraries. Yeah, they're still here, but they're not as relevant. If you want to do research, don't need to go to the library anymore. You could just go to the internet and go into Google and figure out the answer yourself.
Pull out your phone from your pocket and you got all the information right there.
Exactly. Now you have this technology, blockchain technology with Ethereum. It's open source. It's decentralized. It's like we said, you could get rid of escrow companies. You could get rid of it's smart contracts.
You get rid of the middleman.
The middleman doesn't need to be there anymore.
I honestly believe that cryptocurrencies will become the future currencies,
Oh, there's no question about
that. It'll be a global currency, not just like a single like a US or like a Europe type.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that. I do see that. I think that there will be a universal currency, but I don't think there will be one universal currency.
Oh, no, there's going to be multiple because there's Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Right? Bitcoin exists, Ether exists, and there's hundreds of cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
But which one of them will end up becoming the top 5? Who knows?
I feel like it's a safe bet for Bitcoin.
Ethereum, yeah, Bitcoin. I think it's a safe bet for Ether too because they're number 2 now.
Yeah.
There's no way they're just gonna drop.
And I know that the people are scared to actually invest into the cryptocurrencies. And to be honest, I'm also kind of hesitant too because they are so new. I'm a fan of the technology. I'm still a little hesitant about the currency themselves because of the valuations. Because like you mentioned, in 1 week, they were valued for Ethereum. For Ether. I'm sorry. 1 week in December, they were valued at $600. The next week, they were valued at $1,200. Then they go to $900 some dollars. That's a lot of volatility.
In a short amount of time. So, it is that. And I do get it because it is kind of risky. Main reason why is because let's say you have a bunch of Bitcoins or any type of cryptocurrency. In order for you to actually change that into cash, you would have to find a buyer.
Yes.
So there are places like Coinbase and all that where you can sell, but it's not instantaneous. No. Now sometimes it can be depending on the demand, but other times it can take a while. It can take anywhere between days, weeks to even months.
So it's not the most liquid currency out there. But I agree with you. I think that they'll swim. I do think they'll swim. It's the way of the world. It's a way that everything's turning into. Yeah, in the beginning they have to iron out some rinks and crinkles, but give it a good 20 years from now, I think it'll be more stabilized by then. It won't be as volatile as
definitely. Definitely. For sure they're going to swim.
Yeah.
And guys, well, that was our SWOT analysis of Ethereum. Now, if you guys have any opinions or comments, go check out our Facebook or Instagram page at 2028 Podcast and leave a comment. And we'll check them out and respond.
Let us know if you want us to do an analysis on a company. And who knows, it might just be featured in a later installment of the 2028 Podcast.
Don't forget to smash that like button and follow us to be updated on future content. I'm Tezen.
And I'm Vince.
And this is the 2028 Podcast.